Welcome back to the Marvel Movie Minute, a daily podcast which we disassemble a film from the Marvel Cinematic Universe into 1-minute segments and then examine it in obsessive and occasionally hilarious detail. I'm Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, and I'm Rob Cabasco. And Kyle.
Yes, sir.
We're video game players.
We are.
Right? And all different kind of genres. We love, I know you love, what is it, Red Dead Redemption? What's the...
Yeah, Red Dead is the cowboy one.
Yes.
I really love the first one, and I am really terrible at the second one, so I stopped playing. But third-person action is my genre.
Okay,
like
yes, right?
Tomb Raider, Uncharted, Assassin's Creed, like that kind of stuff. I like to see my guy running around.
There we go. Okay, now, one of the things I love about that genre of video game is the one against all.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the first games I think of when I think of that is Dynasty Warriors, not the first one. The first one was more like a one-on-one fighting game, but then later versions, and I think they're up to 9 now, which I couldn't believe.
Well, the Dynasty Warriors has been a fascinating. You're correct, except that they keep iterating. So then there's Dynasty Warriors, then there's also Samurai Warriors, then there's also Warriors Orochi, which combines characters from Dynasty Warriors and Samurai Warriors. And now that same formula has gone over to Nintendo. So we have Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors. And on the PlayStation side, we have Dragon Quest Warriors. So the Warriors are all over the place. Also, did I mention I love these games?
Okay, so can I just say this? I love when anybody brings up a topic and like, I'm going to talk about this topic. And then the person that you're with is like, oh no, you know nothing, actually. You goob. Listen, that's all. Okay. And I think I played like one of the early ones, maybe PlayStation 2, right? And I love that game. More recently, maybe in the last 10 years, I know there was a popular game series called Dead Rising, which was basically one against zombies, and it was you against everybody. I love those types of those games, right? And they're hack and slash. I mean, they're sometimes those games are not. They're button smashers. You're just trying to see the visuals of taking all these things out. You know what it reminds me of? Is in the 1980s arcades, Robotron 2084.
And one of my favorite games is that idea iterated, probably 10 years later, called Smash TV.
That's exactly where I was going. So Smash TV.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a long time, haven't we? So Smash TV, 1990 arcade game created by Eugene Jarvis and Mark Turmel for Williams. And I think Jarvis was one of the co-creators of Robotron. So that's the connection. That's why those games are very similar.
Yeah.
Because one of the guys actually went along and that's what he did. He did that game, Smash TV. Smash TV, you're a contestant on a dystopian television show and it's borrowing themes from movies like RoboCop and The Running Man. Mm-hmm. It's hilarious. It's over the top.
Yeah.
It's gratuitous.
Yeah. Every level starts out with the announcer saying, "Big money, big prizes. I love it."
I'm telling you. And by the way, this game...
There's like literally piles of cash on the board that you have to run and collect all this stuff.
And the great thing about the game is, guess what? You'd say, oh, it's a joystick and a fire button. No, there's no fire button. There's 2 joysticks.
Yeah.
Because you're always firing.
That's right.
And you're just controlling the guy. Arcade 1-Up. If anybody from Arcade 1-Up is listening,
yes, please
release Smash TV.
Yes,
that I would get that game.
It's right at the edge of my memory, but I believe there actually was a sequel to Smash TV called Total Carnage.
Yes.
So there you go. Arcade 1-Up. I've done half the work for you. Put those 2 games together.
Put Robotron and Robotron.
I would be happy if they would just put them out that you could buy them now. I don't think they're even available. Like on Xbox or PlayStation. They released at one point, but not currently.
And I think when they were released for consoles at some point, they were like in the 90s. They changed the name. I forget what the name was, but it was a variation of Smash TV.
Yeah.
Can I tell you that's all I could think of when I watched this minute.
Interesting, because I have a similar reference. So let me get to what brought it to mind to me as we get into minute 108 of Iron Man 2 from 2010, director Mr. Jon Favreau. Because I also had a video game thing, but while those are very good and it makes me you give me a rush of endorphins just remembering all those great video games that I played. The game that this most reminded me of currently would be Ghosts of Tsushima, because that is a samurai game. And that is what's going on here in minute 108. You have two warriors back to back against a horde in a very traditional Japanese garden.
Yes.
The cherry blossoms are falling, the drums are pounding. Like, this is 100% samurai cinema right here. And that game actually really emulates that. For those of you who have not played it, it is basically like the Akira Kurosawa game. It's basically so much so that they have a black and white filter you can put over the entire game. And they went to the descendants of Akira Kurosawa and said, this is what we want to do. And they got the seal of approval. And so when you go into that, it's actually Kurosawa mode.
Oh, jeez.
Traditional Japanese with subtitles, black and white filter, like even film grain over the top of it. So yeah, so like I saw that, I'm like, this is exactly what they were emulating here, is traditional Japanese samurai cinema.
Well, you really get it with the two of them sort of, Tony and Rhodey, they're mimicking their motions. They're back to back. You have, like you said, the Japanese tea garden. It's all there. And when the drums kick in.
Yes.
Well, that's it. Was this just a huge homage?
Yeah.
I mean,
that was the idea, is like that was, they wanted to have it be it was the, the lone warrior, but in this case, the formerly antagonistic brothers, quote unquote, finally had put their differences aside, and now they're going to go up against a waves and waves of disposable enemies, because this is not the showdown. This is the working their way through all of the minions, like all of the low levels. But before that kicks off, then we have one of the most famous shots from this, which is Tony and Rhodey saying back to back, and they say nothing to each other, but they know it's about to go down, and so they turn, and both of their helmets, one by one, clink, drop in. And I think if you do any best of Marvel montages or anything, this shot is always going to be in there.
Absolutely, yes.
It's one of the most iconic shots from this entire movie, or even from this series, like of the Iron Man 1, 2, and 3.
So, okay, we got to talk about this, because now this is, okay, here's the deal. The majority of this minute is just, my notes are
fight. Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah, the transcript that I pull from has this minute as helmets down, shooting begins. And that's it. That's the entire minute.
Okay, do you, like, when I saw this in the theater, I absolutely remember, okay, just as much as the crowd went wild in the theater back in the Monte Carlo, the Grand Prix scene, when he has the suitcase suit.
The suit, yeah.
But this was the scene where the crowd erupted.
Yes.
And it begins where, boom, once those helmets go down and the eyes light up, and that's the cool part, right?
Yeah.
The sequential thing, you get that, okay, we are now about to witness just complete badassery. Like, there's nothing else that's going to happen. And it's well done.
So getting nerdy about it, how do you think they control when the helmets go down? Like when the visors close? Because they don't say anything. It's not like Jarvis, battle time or anything.
They clench their jaw and there's a sensor in their temple that they
get the steely-eyed look, and they do that.
I would assume hand control. That's my assumption.
Okay.
And there's some sort of, like, there's gestures that you can do that it does what it knows what it has to do. What's neat about this too is that as soon as they do this, we cut to a shot of one of the Marine drones, and we're seeing
I had forgotten about that. This two thing actually has a third. It has a payoff, because it goes like helmet down, and they cut to a drone, and the drone puts its own face shield up.
Right.
And I was like, I forgot that there was ding, ding, ding. There was like a third point of that.
And that's just showing that, hey, this is going to be serious, because the drones, they're here to rumble. Like, this is going to be a real serious hand-to-hand fight. And then we just see them just raise their arms, and everybody is shooting away.
Yeah, exactly. The every gun starts ablazing. And so then we get to see sort of the difference between War Machine and Iron Man and how they fight everything. So you see Tony basically is going in with the repulsors, like firing from his hand beams, everything, like very thing. And then Rhodey is basically just holding his position and just laying lead everywhere. Like and even at one point you can see that as he's firing with his arms sort of forward, that his cannon then goes behind him. So he's actually covering 360 degrees, because his cannon is independently firing. I don't know. Like, I don't know if he's controlling it from inside, that he's like, target anything that's not Tony and blast it.
So it has its own independent targeting system.
Yes.
So it's a bit of AI where it can then find targets and go nuts, and he can take control of it or just let it go on its own.
Yeah. So Iron Man is doing the very traditional sort of like blasting the, and then when even a drone gets too close, then he goes full hand to hand. So it's like there's a rocket knee up and then a rocket elbow down to mash through an army drone, which is super cool. And then later on when it gets close to Rhodey, then he does a kick. He basically, and then so they said in the first animatic that it was sort of like doing this martial arts, like he was almost like a sidekick, and they went, oh no, like we have to differentiate because Tony is like he sort of has the Krav Maga boxing thing going on, like he's like he's like sticking and moving and punching and stuff too. Rhodey has to fight differently, and so they said, oh, he needs to kick like a biker. That was the note they gave. And so when he does finally kick, you see him just like sort of rear back and just like launch into a guy like he's kicking him out of a bar. Because they really wanted to have the two different fighting things. So the other thing that they really wanted to have, and this goes right back to the Japanese cinema thing, is because this is the total bloodbath, because these are robots, they can just completely let loose and destroy everything. You see War Machine, gets really close to one of them and just cuts a guy in half with his blast, like with machine gun from one of his gauntlets, and then oil blasts out and splatters his face. And that is straight out of samurai cinema. Like the blood, like the katana cuts through and suddenly you have the blood splatter in the face. But in this case, it's oil. So they can get away with that kind of stuff. So they can do these incredibly brutal moves of ripping people in half and ripping off arms and stuff too. And they're robots. So, So this whole scene, like we said, was all storyboarded by Jenny Teretovsky, like we talked about before. Right. Like he really got into all the different things that they could do in this, and including that, because he is like one of the co-creators of Samurai Jack. So like you can see the Japanese cinema influence here.
I love the sequence. Well, first of all, just going to all this stuff you just talked about, the attention to detail in the particle animation, the destructive when Tony gives that flying upper knee, which by the way, he's using his repulsors in his feet to even, this is ultimate wrestling, right? He's giving massive amounts of inertia to what he's doing in momentum, but to see all the components just fly apart and the drones that he's destroying, and then the just amazing one is, when Rhodey takes one down, basically cuts it in half with his machine gun, you're seeing an incredible amount of detail. And then, all the oil, like, okay. Yeah,
that's the only time in this movie we actually get to see sort of the endoskeleton.
Right.
Like that we actually get to see a little bit of what's inside. And it's obviously, it's sparking and oil covered and blasting it too. But like as the chest opens up, you get to see a little bit of like the sort of framework that Ivan has put into it, because I remember these were suits.
Yes.
So he had to put something into all of them in order to make them work.
And I love as that's a Marine drone that's coming up to him, because once again you can tell because the camouflage. I love that it's got its face shield up, but the animators went in and even had the detail that once his gunfire blows apart the shield, you can see the blue glowing sensor fly away.
That's right. The eye. The quote unquote eye.
Okay. This is worth slowing down frame by frame, because
it is vicious and gorgeous. ILM went out of their way in this one. This is amazing. Yeah, Tony, then you can see Tony punching through one of the drones.
That's
and then not even stopping, and then just switching into it. And then you get to see a little bit of the combat heads up. Like the difference is like where he actually is like he has different things over his face and his eye that he's like it's showing not only the damage to his suit, which currently is nothing, but also like where the threats are coming from so that he can do it. So it's really, you would think that Jarvis would be like giving him heads up, like, behind you, sir, and like that kind of stuff. But no, it's like this is full hands-on mode.
Well, it's hands-on mode, and the beauty of this detail is that, okay, so when you see the graphic, there's like now information is now circularly designed right around one of his eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, the reason for that is because now that he's in hand-to-hand combat, it's allowing his eye to focus more clearly. It's like a heads-up display in a car where like, okay, we're throwing the speedometer up on your windshield because when you're driving and if something happens, you want just the critical information that is closest to where your eye is focused on. This is brilliant.
Yeah.
This is, and the directional arrow showing where is the threat coming from.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
And that's great because then we get to see what it is that his eye has picked up as targeting because someone has targeted him with a missile. And so because of this, like we don't know what he's seeing at the time, but he's seeing something. And so when it cuts back outside, oh, it's a missile. And he just leans back far enough that the missile whooshes right past him and explodes against the ground, I think it is. And then like you can also see there's a drone right behind it that probably got damaged by that. And then he does, and we have a recurrence of phantom technology, because as Tony Stark then stands there and raises his arm, these like circles like go around his wrist and expand out, and then micro missiles launch out from his gauntlet and blow up 3 drones that are facing off against it. What the hell is that? We've never seen that before, and I don't think we ever see it again.
Well, no, but those are part of the Mark 6 suit. You see, those are a
and that's
ring
fine. I'm fine with that part, but it's like he has the shoulder ones we've seen before, but like all of a sudden there's like, oh wait, you've got him in your wrist now too? Like, where did this come from?
So when you go to the description of this is one of the things that's laid out when we've gone through the itinerary of what's in the inventory of what's in these suits.
Right.
These are technically a ring of micro-munition missiles that are housed in each gauntlet of the suit. So technically both arms should have them.
Yes.
These small missiles can be fired at an enemy and are able to embed themselves in a surface before detonating. Once again, thank you to all of the wikis for the Marvel Cinematic Universe that have this detail. Yeah, this is a great. Jon Favreau clearly is a fan of this type of micro missile targeting system,
right? Because we've seen this. This was in the first one. Like that was. This is kind of how he took out the tank,
right? But it's also shown up in another show of his that is more recent. The Mandalorian has these too.
Oh, that's true. Oh, that's right. I didn't think about that, but you're right.
Yeah. So,
I see that inside the Marvel Studios Visual Dictionary, they talk about it being advanced micro-munition missile launchers.
Right.
And then something else, which we're going to talk about here in the next half of the minute.
Oh, he's got other new technology too. Yeah. Which this is nice. I think part of this is, well, we're seeing this new suit show up, right? And we know it's new because it's got a triangular arc reactor on the front of it.
That's
or at
right.
least the light.
Right. And also, I think, and a little bit, I noticed now as you can zoom in, he also has a bit of a widow's peak.
Oh, yeah. He's much deeper.
Much
deeper red.
Right. The sort of, there's a notch sort of in the helmet, so it's not quite so much like one solid piece. It has like a divot in the top, which is straight out of the comics. I mean, like that. Right. He has had that.
That was another change that they made, in the design. No, I love these. The effect of this micro missile launcher. I love the blue illumination that's in the housing of the gauntlet. Right. I mean, it's an awesome effect. And then we see it. All of these micro missiles hit 3 drones. It looks like an
one
army,
of each, I think.
Navy. Yeah, one of each. Oh yeah, it is one of each.
Yeah,
and then they embed and then they detonate, and it's an awesome explosion effect. Very well done.
Yeah, so then we have the only dialogue for this minute happens there too. And so Tony basically like he's got these new micro-munition missiles, and so he goes, "You see that?" And Rhodey goes, "Yeah, nice." Because of all people, Rhodey would appreciate a really good missile strike. You know, he's a military guy. He likes Tony's punching and blasting. It's like if you pause it, you can see just the gallons of oil like spilling out from these guys, from these drones.
If this was really
like
the samurai
this would be intestines and
this would be blood and body parts.
And gore and
exactly
viscera. Yeah, there's and that's when the kick happens. Yeah,
and then we go outside their suits, and we get. I remember this is the moment I remember, right? So you can see, I mean, War Machine is much more of a brutal attack mode, and we come to what is this just amazing moment where it's full blown, all guns firing off of War Machine's suit.
Yeah,
and he does this whole thing where he pulls his arms apart as he's firing, the guns firing behind him. And I'm going to tell you, I can distinctly remember the crowd going nuts at this moment.
Yeah. This is probably the most expensive minute in this movie.
Yeah.
Because every second of this is, ILM just going at the peak of their powers and their computing power and processing and everything.
And there's just so much going on. You can see as this shot is panning, there's another army drone that's been flying and is landing in another spot. But just, it's War Machine. This is the moment, I think, where comic book fans, if you're a War Machine fan, you went, oh, they did it. Right?
Yeah.
Like they went full on War Machine and wow, this is incredible. We're seeing this in Iron Man 2. So nicely done.
Yeah, agreed. It's gorgeous. It just beautiful violence. So now, we have another occurrence of phantom technology because another of Tony Stark's inventions comes out of nowhere. We've had 107 minutes for them to give us any type of information, but no, this is going to be a big surprise. So Tony says, "Rhodey, get down." And then you see on the backs of his hands start to glow red. Rhodey drops to the ground, and it turns out that Iron Man now has like cutting lasers, essentially. Like he goes through he does a full, I would say, pirouette.
Yeah.
And spins all the way around and cuts all the remaining drones in half. He spins like I think 3 times. In almost like an ice skater mode.
I think he's getting some help from his repulsors. I think he's getting a little movement. His feet leave the ground, I think. You don't see that.
One of the original Iron Man armors did have roller skates in his feet.
Oh, jeez.
I'm saying, hey, like if he's got lasers that come out of nowhere, why not roller skates?
So, okay, first of all, this is another obviously notable addition to the Mark 6 suit.
Yes.
It's a laser system located in the back of each hand that can easily cut through virtually any material, including most metals. The only problem is they have a limitation, which I don't think we get to in this minute.
We don't. We have it blasts out, cuts everybody in half, and then there's a moment of silence.
Because everyone's just like...
Yeah, and the last thing is then a tree that he also cut through because the thing falls off to the side.
So, all right, a couple things to say about this in terms of graphic department. Right before he does this, we see it all happen in the heads up of the suit. We see his hands on the diagram that's in his display power up, and then we see a power meter, 2 power meters that power up fully.
Yeah,
we know something's charging in each hand. We know something's happening. And then, okay, again, brilliant. When he does the close-up of crossing his hands in front of his chest, you see the panel open up before it lights up. Again, just guys, incredible detail.
This is I can say just as a moment of post-movie commentary. This is what I miss. I really miss the actual physical suit. The more they had it, and Jon Favreau even talks about this, the more they added stuff in and had it nanotech, and it's like, oh, I'm wearing it all the time, and it comes from the thing or whatever, the more it just becomes, oh, it's just a magic suit now. Like this, when it's actually like the pieces slide and move and parts fall off, and like this, like even though I know this is full CG, this is like there's this physical suit did not exist, at all. I still like the illusion of having a big clunky mechanical thing, the mechanic thing that we talked about from the builder part, as opposed to like, and now it appears. You lose something.
Wait, I just want to say this.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that big of a rant. I didn't want to derail your thought too much.
No. Dude, this is the theme. We've been doing this a long time. Do you know what's amazing about you saying that?
What?
I had a moment when I was watching this and preparing for this. I said, this is the moment where I realized I missed this too. Yeah. And do you know why? And I'm going to say something that we could lead us down a really ridiculous rabbit hole.
Okay.
Because when Iron Man's suit changes from the glory days of this to what he becomes later on, that's because the character goes from being Batman to Green Lantern.
Ooh, wow. Yeah.
Right?
That's true. You're right, because full CG. Like, he becomes the
even the
CG
whole way
suit.
he does stuff.
Yeah. It just magically appears. I mean, like, the fight scenes in Endgame, and I guess Infinity War more than Endgame,
Right.
where the suit can react to stuff. Like now I need a shield, now I need a thing, and and that's cool. Like I dig that, but at the same time, when it's just like woos over one thing, I kind of just go, it's you don't have that visceral thing anymore. Of like when Captain America's shield hits somebody, you hear it clang, and I love that. It's just like because it's just a big freaking metal disc. But it's just like the woo woo of it too. And then I feel the same way about Spider-Man when they give him the full Iron Spider thing. I was like, like I kind of when the climax of Spider, we're so far out into the future.
That's why I was like,
I do. the Homecoming when the climax of Spider-Man Homecoming when he's just in the hoodie and the goggles. I love it because it's like he's actually wearing a hoodie and goggles.
No, I thought of that. I mean, seriously, this was the moment because of the missiles in this gauntlet and the laser. And I'm like, when you see all of the beautiful panels moving and everything, you get that sense of, well, not only do you get the sense that it's mechanical and it has tactile sound and feel, but there is also that great limitation of, hey, I only got what I got in my toolbox.
Right, yeah. So you have what you brought with you, not just you can't just magically make it turn into a different thing.
And there's some inherent drama. Yes. There's a better action. Anyway, okay, we digressed.
Yeah,
but
but that's okay. I do miss this, and so to wrap it up then for in a nice little package then, dear Marvel, as I know that so many Marvel executives are listening to this thing, when you bring in Riri Williams for Ironheart, however you plan on doing that, give her a physical suit. Now, I'm not saying take that poor young actress and put her in a big heavy metal clunky thing. Motion capture, CG, put the thing on, but make it a physical suit that she has made and not magical nanobots that come swarming out of a thing and can magically turn into whatever you want. Like, make it big and clunky and it's leaking oil and, have it. I want a bit of Kit Bash.
Okay. You ready for this?
Hit me.
Because her suit is going to be so sleek and minimalist.
Yeah.
That it only has the storage capacity for so many weapons and tools at a given time.
Yeah.
She has to load them, and that's all she has then.
Right.
You can still do the creation and the forming of them, but you only got so many things with you at any given moment.
Yeah, suddenly you're fighting a person with a laser katana, and you're like, oh, I didn't bring the shield thing because I didn't know that's who I'd be fighting. So then you have to be smarter and improvise your way through it. I mean, that's the thing that was great about the early Iron Man stuff is that his suit couldn't do everything, so he had to figure out how to adapt to with what he had to whoever he was fighting. Because on a day-to-day, am I going to be fighting Blizzard? Am I going to be fighting Whiplash? Am I going to be fighting MODOK? I have no idea, so I can't have the suit do everything. That's why he built multiple suits. That's why there's a Thor Buster. That's why there's a Hulk Buster. That's why there's a stealth suit, because they have different capabilities for different things. Obviously, we touch on that in Iron Man 3, but that's it. But yeah, we say. Meanwhile, the next guys are like, "You're only supposed to talk about Iron Man 2. How dare you?"
Minute, the last minute was kind of sketchy. This minute, you've come on along a magical carpet ride with us. One last thing to say, as they do this final crazy moment of just dismembering many drone bodies.
Yeah.
We get a nice, I again love this effect. We've talked about it before. It's that same glowing edge effect that we saw on the racetrack where Whiplash has started to slice the car.
Oh,
and remember we talked about that wonderful
that clean line.
That clean edge, but you can see where the edges of the metal are molten that's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's another great way to show the amount of devastation he just did in the dark without making it grotesque. Well done.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And I pity the poor insurance agent who's going to get a claim from Oracle. Somebody burned down our Japanese garden.
Dude, the garden's trashed, man. It's done. Yeah. Well, also, let's not also forget that $200 million of Hammer Tech that you just destroyed, but that's something else. That's another topic.
Very, very true. What you're worried about, of course, is what's happening with Pepper. Everyone's wondering that now. They're like, okay, but what's happening to Pepper? Well, you're not going to find out until minute 109, but you need to stay subscribed to find out what's going on over there. In the meantime, as we've been talking about beautiful images and homages, I think where better to go to talk about beautiful place than the social media app designed specifically for beautiful images, and that, of course, is Instagram. And we are over on Instagram as well. You can follow us at The Next Reel. We try to have as beautiful as we can do to celebrate the announcement of our shows and whatever else is going on in the world. So add us to your feed. We guarantee it'll make it 1% better, at least. I think that we can live up to that, can't we?
Definitely.
So I'll be back here for minute 109 as we check in on what's going on and the rest of the thing. And I'm sure this is the end of the fight, so we don't have to ever worry about anything else happening because, drone's done.
They're all done.
Done and dusted. Now it's time for a kiss and we head home. No?
Remember,
there seems like there's
coming.
something.
The agent, we forgot.
Did we miss
Black
someone?
Widow saw something. Remember?
There's something. Yeah, there's something. I'm sure it's nothing. Enough said.
Bye.